There are hundreds of fights across the MCU. Street brawls, one-on-one duels, quick skirmishes that barely last a minute. But this video isn't about those. Today, we're breaking down every battle that actually mattered. The ones where two or more Avengers fought together, where the outcome changed the team, the world, or the entire timeline. The Battle of New York. The 2012 Avengers film gave us the team's first ever battle, and it was arguably one of the best, involving Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and the Hulk. The six who started it all. High above Manhattan, the Tesseract activates and tears a hole in the sky. The portal stabilizes, and almost immediately, Chitauri warships start pouring through. The invasion force is overwhelming the city from above, and at first, there really is no team. Everyone's kind of just doing their own thing. Iron Man intercepts them mid-air, and Thor prioritizes confronting Loki at Stark Tower, threatening him to turn off the Tesseract. On the Stark Tower roof, they have a little one-on-one. The most teamwork we see is from Black Widow and Hawkeye as they're maneuvering an aircraft, shooting down Chitauri forces. Natasha and Clint come out of the aircraft alongside Captain America after a pretty shaky crash landing. But they're overwhelmed by the sheer numbers. After they regroup, the three Avengers begin fighting back at ground level, but the situation keeps escalating. The battle spreads outward, and New York becomes a war zone. This is where Captain America's leadership shines. Even in total chaos, he immediately starts organizing evacuations, coordinating with the police, and setting up a civilian perimeter. Meanwhile, in the air, Tony tries to take on a Leviathan, but does zero damage. On the ground, Black Widow and Hawkeye are slowly getting overwhelmed. Cap gives them a good assist, but the tide doesn't turn until Thor strikes. And then, as the Avengers are strategizing, Bruce Banner arrives. All the pieces are finally in play, and Banner delivers one of the coolest sequences in the entire MCU. He smashes an entire Leviathan with just one punch, stopping its momentum completely. And now, our heroes have some firepower of their own, in the shape of a not-so-jolly green giant. From here, the momentum finally shifts, not just because of Hulk, but because the Avengers are finally working together. What follows is pure cinema history. The first time we see them fully assembled, moving as one unit, the Avengers. It's 6 against an army, but they're unfazed. And you see the contrast clearly. Another Leviathan emerges, but no one's pressured. Captain America takes control and assigns each Avenger a role, and the Avengers get to work, especially Thor, who unleashes lightning against the invading forces near the portal. Then everything spirals again. The World Security Council panics and authorizes a nuke on Manhattan. Fury refuses, but the missile is launched anyway. With seconds to spare, Tony redirects the nuke upward, flying it straight through the portal and into the Chitauri mothership. The missile detonates on the other side, destroying the Chitauri command ship. Instantly, the Chitauri forces on Earth shut down. Leviathans crash. Skiffs fall from the sky. The invasion ends mid-motion. Tony barely makes it back through the portal before it closes. But interestingly, this time, an Avenger's in trouble. Thor actually makes a move to save him before Hulk catches him. On the ground, Thor defeats Loki and takes him into custody. The Avengers regroup in the wreckage of the city and world they've just saved, something they're going to do time and time again. The attack on the Hydra research base. After the Battle of New York, Age of Ultron opens with the Avengers learning that Hydra has salvaged Chitauri tech and Loki's scepter. They're keeping both in a research base in Sokovia, heavily defended with troops and guard towers. The Avengers are met with heavy resistance from a battalion of Hydra soldiers. The Avengers press the offensive, and you see a similar battle formation with Iron Man taking the air, Captain America cutting through the front line, Thor electrifying troops, and Black Widow and Hawkeye doing precision strikes. This is also where we first see Black Widow taming the Hulk, who was totally out of control, wreaking havoc throughout the area. Inside the base, Hydra's defenses begin to crumble under the coordinated assault. Iron Man makes quick work of the forces inside, and finally secures the scepter and carries it back toward Avengers Tower. The base's remaining Hydra soldiers collapse in defeat. their numbers decimated. The mission ends with the Avengers reclaiming the scepter. The Battle of Johannesburg. Age of Ultron gave us some incredible fights, such as the Johannesburg duel between Hulk and Iron Man. It begins after the Avengers track Ultron to South Africa while investigating a cache of vibranium. As Iron Man battles Ultron, Wanda Maximoff uses her powers to trigger a violent psychological episode in Bruce Banner, causing him to transform into a berserk Hulk. Iron Man has to prioritize in that moment, Hulk or Ultron. He makes his choice, knowing how dangerous Banner can be, which lets Ultron get away. As he rushes to the scene, he tries to contain the rampage by deploying a self-assembling electrified cage through Veronica, his support module, but it holds Hulk off for a few seconds only. Hulk absolutely shreds Johannesburg, buildings, trucks, and cars. The city takes a lot of damage until Iron Man arrives personally on the scene, donning his Hulkbuster armor. The two collide immediately. Hulk throws a car at Iron Man, and Iron Man catches it before blasting him back into a row of storefronts. Hulk busts through his armor, impaling one of his arms with a street pole and literally digging through parts of it like a dog. Every exchange causes more destruction, while Iron Man desperately tries to hold him off as he replaces parts of the damaged armor mid-fight. Each attempt to control the situation seems only to worsen it, and at one point, Hulk actually flings Iron Man at an elevator full of people and destroys an entire building that's mid-construction. Finally, after relentless pounding and pitiless street-to-street combat, Iron Man manages to overpower the Hulk. He knocks him unconscious while he's surrounded by soldiers, leaving Hulk slumped amid cracked asphalt and scattered debris. In the aftermath, Johannesburg lies devastated. The Battle of Sokovia. The Battle of Sokovia in Age of Ultron is the Avengers' second major team fight, with the same lineup as the Battle of New York, but none of the same sloppiness. They're also backed up by Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Vision, and War Machine. This time, the threat is Ultron. The battle begins in the city of Sokovia. The Avengers fight together, but almost immediately things go wrong. Ultron's drone army swarms the city, civilians are trapped everywhere, and the Avengers are forced to split their focus between fighting and evacuation. Scarlet Witch quickly takes over the evacuation effort, backed up by Captain America. Meanwhile, Vision confronted Ultron at a church. Ultron, who was not at all in a talking mood, tried to choke him, but this gave Vision the chance he needed to hack into Ultron's mainframe so he couldn't escape through the net. We get a quick scene of Thor fighting Ultron's sentries underground, and a really cool shot of Quicksilver blitzing them. Ultron reveals his endgame. He lifts an entire section of the city into the sky.
Avengers, you are my meteor, my swift and terrible sword, and the earth will crack.
Turning it into a massive extinction-level weapon.
Right now, the impact will kill thousands. Once it gets high enough, global extinction.
His plan is simple. Let it crash back into Earth and wipe out humanity. Everyone's got their hands full between rescuing civilians and holding off the drones, and Ultron goes after Thor, occupying one of the team's heaviest hitters. He even gets some solid shots in on the Asgardian. Above the battlefield, Ultron makes a move on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s helicarrier while it's trying to rescue civilians. He sends his robot goons, but Rhodey, aka War Machine, quickly wipes them out. With most civilians evacuated, the Avengers regroup near the church as Vision recovers. Ultron returns, taunting them. As Ultron's sentries converge on the city's core, the team makes their final stand against Ultron's full army. Captain America leads on the ground. Black Widow and Hawkeye hold evacuation points. Vision phases through attacks while firing back. Scarlet Witch tears through sentries with raw force. Quicksilver moves constantly, disorienting Ultron's forces and pulling teammates out of danger. Thor pulverizes robot after robot. Iron Man controls the airspace. Hulk smashes anything that gets close. During the evacuation, Ultron targets Hawkeye and a civilian directly, opening fire to stop them from escaping. Quicksilver reacts without hesitation, stepping into the line of fire and taking the bullets meant for them. He saves both lives at the cost of his own.
You didn't see that coming.
In rage, Scarlet Witch tears Ultron apart, while Thor, Iron Man and Vision combine their power. Hulk delivers the final blow, smashing Ultron away as his Sentry army collapses. The city breaks apart and falls safely into the ocean. The extinction event is stopped, but Sokovia is destroyed, and the cost is undeniable. Avengers Civil War. The battle at Leipzig-Halle Airport takes place in Captain America Civil War, at the point where the Avengers turn on each other. After the Sokovia Accords split the team, Steve Rogers goes rogue to protect Bucky Barnes and stop Helmut Zemo before he can reach a Hydra facility in Siberia. Steve arrives at Leipzig-Halle Airport with Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, Clint Barton, Wanda Maximoff, and Scott Lang, planning to use a Quinjet to escape Germany before anyone can intervene. They don't get that chance. Tony Stark arrives with War Machine, Black Widow, Vision, Black Panther, and Spider-Man. The airport is fully evacuated. The two sides face each other on the runway. Steve tries to explain why he has to leave. Tony refuses to let him go. The tension breaks the moment Spider-Man webs Captain America's hands together and yanks his shield away, and this escalates it to a full fight. The battle spreads across the airport almost immediately. Captain America and Bucky fight side by side, moving in sync as they push toward the Quinjet. Black Panther locks onto Bucky and relentlessly pursues him, even slashing into Captain America's vibranium shield and leaving visible claw marks behind. Above the ground, Falcon and Spider-Man clash mid-air. Vision hangs back, firing precise blasts to control the battlefield and force Steve's team to scatter. At this point, the airport is getting pretty beat up, and it gets worse when Ant-Man makes his move. Ant-Man grows into Giant Man, towering over the airport. He rips a wing off a parked aircraft and swings it like a weapon when Vision targets Falcon in the air and misses. His blast strikes War Machine instead. Rhodey's arc reactor shuts down mid-flight, and he falls uncontrollably, crashing hard onto the runway below. Black Widow makes a choice. She steps in and delays Black Panther just long enough for Steve and Bucky to reach the Quinjet. Natasha doesn't follow them. She lets them go. Captain America pilots the Quinjet down the damaged runway. The fight at Leipzig-Halle Airport ends there, unresolved and deeply personal. Iron Man versus Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Once Tony Stark learns that his parents were murdered by the Winter Soldier, the fight becomes immediate and personal. Stark turns on Steve without hesitation, re-engaging his helmet and knocking him to the ground as Zemo slips away. He attacks Barnes directly, destroying his rifle and pinning him to the floor. Rogers throws his shield to deflect a fatal repulsor blast, but Stark counters by blasting Steve aside and restraining his legs before returning to Barnes. Stark drives Barnes into a wall and charges a repulsor at point-blank range. Barnes grabs the gauntlet with his prosthetic arm and disables it. He fires a missile at close range, but Barnes deflects it, tearing through the chamber and collapsing part of the facility, briefly trapping Stark under rubble. Rogers urges Barnes to run.
Get out of here!
Barnes heads for an escape hatch high above the silo, while Steve breaks free and tries to talk Stark down one last time. Stark ignores him and attempts to fly past, but Rogers grabs his ankle and smashes one of his boot jets with the shield, crippling his flight. Falling debris triggered by Stark's own lasers blocks Steve's path. Stark breaks free and resumes the pursuit, firing a repulsor blast that Rogers reflects back with the shield, sending Stark crashing to a lower level. Rogers follows, using a grappling hook as Barnes reaches the hatch. Steve throws the shield again, but Stark blasts it aside and fires a missile manually, destroying the hatch and trapping Barnes inside the silo. Barnes tries to defend himself, but Stark overwhelms him, locking him in a chokehold and demanding to know if he remembers everyone he killed for Hydra. Rogers tackles Stark, and all three plunge to the bottom of the silo. Steve pleads with Tony, but Stark is set on revenge.
I don't care. He killed my mom.
Stark and Rogers brawl, with Stark gaining the upper hand until Barnes re-enters the fight, turning it into a 2-on-1. Stark blasts Rogers across the room, then counters Barnes' attempt to tear out the arc reactor by firing the unibeam, destroying Barnes' prosthetic arm and blasting him back. Rogers charges in, enraged, overwhelming Stark with relentless blows. Stark orders Friday, an artificial intelligence created by Stark designed to work with his armor. He ordered her to analyze Steve's fighting pattern, then counters, beating Rogers down and declaring them enemies. Stark orders Steve to stay down.
Stay down. Final warning.
But Rogers forces himself back to his feet, insisting he can do this all day.
I could do this all day.
As Stark charges a final repulsor blast, Barnes grabs his boot, distracting him just long enough. Stark kicks Barnes away, but Rogers grabs him from behind, slams him to the ground, and rips off his helmet. Steve lifts the shield and brings it down with full force, splitting Stark's arc reactor and disabling the armor. After a long pause, Rogers helps Barnes to his feet. As they walk away, Stark shouts,
You don't deserve it. My father made that shield.
Steve hesitates before he drops the shield behind him, leaving it on the ground as he and Barnes disappear. Battle of Titan. Skipping forward to Infinity War, we have the Battle of Titan. The battle begins with Thanos arriving on Titan and confronting Doctor Strange, as he's only missing the time and Mind Stones now. Iron Man ambushes him with a massive chunk of ship wreckage, but with the power and reality stones, Thanos shakes the attack off. We see Spidey blind Thanos as Drax charges him from behind, but neither of them is a real match. He even disarms Strange's magic sword pretty easily. Star-Lord sneaks in a bomb on his back to create an opening for Strange, who wraps the cloak of levitation around the Infinity Gauntlet so Thanos can't use it. Strange uses his portals to give Spider-Man an opening, but it's of no use. The Avengers don't let up on him, launching a combined assault that stalls him, but with just 2 stones working together, he easily overpowers them. Again, he gets ambushed by Nebula as she rams a necrocraft into him, but even she's taken down quickly. Strange and Drax try to trap him, while Star-Lord attacks with a gravity mine and Spider-Man uses his webbing and spider armor. Strange drops Mantis on Thanos as well, but these are all just desperate attempts to hold him off. No one's doing any real damage, and why are they stalling him? The entire plan was that Iron Man and Spidey would pull the gauntlet off of him, and this is the infamous moment where Star-Lord blew the entire plan. He couldn't keep cool for like 3 minutes, and it led to Thanos freeing himself from Mantis. Seriously, why? Thanos wasted no time wiping Star-Lord, Drax, and Nebula with one use of the Power Stone, because he wasn't playing around anymore. He pulled down the surface of Titan's moon, hitting the team with a meteor shower. As if that wasn't bad enough already, Thanos shows just how outclassed they are by literally destroying the Mirror Dimension's gateway during his duel with Strange just a few minutes after his moon stunt. Strange put up a good fight, but he was defeated without much effort, leaving only Iron Man. Tony threw everything he had at him, his nanotech armor, his repulsor blasts, and all of his intellect. He used a nanotech clamp to restrain the gauntlet, but Thanos ripped that away too, using the Power Stone to fire a blast of his own at Iron Man. What followed was a complete beatdown. Thanos tore him apart piece by piece, and Tony was only saved by Strange trading the Time Stone for his life. One step closer to his ultimate plan, the Mad Titan made a portal and departed for his next battle. Battle of Wakanda. As the Wakandan army and the Avengers assemble along the shielded outskirts of the city, War Machine detects 2 incoming enemy signatures approaching the energy barrier.
I got 2 heat signatures breaking through the tree line.
Proxima Midnight and Cull Obsidian. Steve Rogers, Black Widow, and T'Challa move out to meet them, attempting to gauge their intentions before the fighting begins. Moments later, Thanos' army is released. Realizing there will be no talks, Rogers, Romanoff, and T'Challa fall back to rejoin the Wakandan forces as the battle begins. As T'Challa orders the Wakandan army to hold their ground, the dropships open and release the Outriders. At Proxima Midnight's command, they charge straight into the energy barrier, burning and tearing themselves apart without hesitation, shocking the defenders watching from behind the shield. The barrier holds at first, killing countless attackers, but it isn't enough. Outriders begin forcing their way through the Wakandan line. The Border Tribe raise their energy cloaks to shield the front lines as the Royal Guards open fire with sonic spears. Bruce Banner and the Winter Soldier joined the defense on the ground, while War Machine and Falcon attacked the Outriders from above. Seeing the threat closing in on Vision, T'Challa ordered a narrow section of the energy barrier open to bait the Outriders.
On my signal, open Northwest Section 17.
As expected, they charged the Wakandan forces head-on. The Avengers' forces were slowly being overwhelmed by the sheer numbers, but the tide turned when Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy joined. Showing off the newly forged Stormbreaker, he destroyed chunks of the Outrider forces, causing Cull Obsidian to personally join the fight. T'Challa engaged him to stop his momentum, but it was useless. The Outriders unleashed the Threshers, and the Wakandan army was outmatched. These beasts burrowed underground to bypass the barrier. This caused Wanda to leave her post in the lab, defending Vision in order to assist. While she did take out the Threshers, it was just a diversion from the Outriders to get to Vision. Proxima informed Glaive that Wanda is on the field, and Glaive infiltrated Shuri's lab. Falcon alerts the team before being taken out of the fight, prompting Rogers to send Banner and Wanda to protect Vision. Wanda is nearly killed by Proxima Midnight before Black Widow and Okoye intervene, and when Midnight gains the upper hand, Wanda turns the fight around by hurling her into the path of a Wakandan Thresher, while Banner battles Cull Obsidian in the Hulkbuster. Eventually trapping his arm and blasting him into the energy barrier, where he's incinerated. Meanwhile, Corvus Glaive critically injures Vision until Rogers arrives to hold him off, only for Vision to recover long enough to impale Glaive from behind with his own weapon, killing him. With the Black Order defeated, the Outriders retreat toward their dropships. However, the worst-case scenario happens when Thanos arrives. Cap immediately rallied the other Avengers, but it was futile. Even Wanda destroying Vision couldn't stop Thanos from obtaining the Mind Stone and completing the gauntlet. He takes out Avenger after Avenger as Winter Soldier, Black Widow, Groot, and even Captain America are no match for him. Thor comes close, but as Thanos said, he should have gone for the head.
You should have gone for the head.
With one snap, Thanos wins the entire battle.
There was no other way.
Battle of the Avengers Compound. This was a historical fight. Enraged and with nothing left to lose, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor fought Thanos at the ruins of the Avengers Compound. Thor, with both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, immediately launches the offensive, and he's out for blood. Roger and Stark combine attacks, Roger with his close quarters expertise, and Stark with his repulsor beams. Even Mjolnir and Stormbreaker together aren't enough to overpower him. Thanos manages to push even this trio on the defensive, and tanks a lightning-enhanced repulsor blast from Stark and Thor. The Asgardian throws Mjolnir at him. He uses Tony like a shield to deflect Mjolnir, which knocks Tony out for a bit. Now, it's just Captain America, Thor, and Thanos. Well, more like just Thor, because Rogers doesn't last long at all. Soon, he even overwhelms Thor. This time, it's Thanos who is cleaving Thor's chest with Stormbreaker. It looks like Thor is doomed, but he is saved by his hammer, now in the hands of Captain America. It's one of the coolest scenes in the entire MCU. With both shield and hammer, Captain America overwhelms Thanos and disarms him. It doesn't last long, though, because Thanos kicks it up a gear and slices his arm and leg before battering his shield until it shatters completely. Soon, Thanos' army arrives, Outriders, Chitauri, Sakarans, and the Black Order all at his disposal, and only one hero to stand against them, a tired, beaten Steve Rogers. Until one of the most legendary scenes in film history happens. Portals begin to open one after the other, as Avenger after Avenger steps out. All the ones that turn to dust: T'Challa, Spider-Man, the Wakandan army, the Guardians, Asgardians, Wizards. Every single Defender Earth has arrived as the Avengers assemble. Both sides waste no time. They charge each other immediately, and what follows is an absolutely chaotic action sequence. Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America are still going toe-to-toe with Thanos. Meanwhile, Ant-Man, Black Panther, and Captain Marvel are wreaking havoc on his army, alongside everyone else. Everyone is struggling to keep the nano gauntlet out of Thanos' hands. Thanos actually feels threatened for once. He launches a desperate move, ordering a hail of fire on the battlefield that killed some of his forces too.
Rain fire! But sire, our troops, just do it!
The gauntlet changes hands repeatedly as the Avengers try to keep it away from Thanos. Eventually, Thanos overpowers Captain Marvel and retrieves it, forcing the stones into his gauntlet and preparing to snap. As Thanos snaps his fingers, nothing happens. The stones are gone. That's when Tony Stark makes his move. Tony stands behind him, the Infinity Stones now embedded across his own nanotech armor. Thanos turns, realizing too late what's happened. Tony snaps his fingers. A blinding wave of energy tears through the battlefield. Thanos watches as his army begins to crumble into dust around him, their war ending in seconds. He looks down at his own disintegrating body, sits quietly, and fades away. And the war is finally won. The Siege of Kamar-Taj. The last one on our list is the Siege of Kamar-Taj in the Multiverse of Madness. Wanting to use America Chavez's abilities for herself, Scarlet Witch took on Kamar-Taj all by herself, and scarily enough, she won. Despite Wong turning it into a fortress and arming the students, it was still close. Her initial attacks were blocked by the sorcerer's magic shield, but Wanda took over the minds of one of the masters, causing the shield to fall. With a clear target, she launched a flurry of hex bolts that wrecked Kamar-Taj. Sarah and the other masters tried to push back with artillery and chants, but her power overwhelmed them easily. She was a menace in this film, carving a path effortlessly to America. Even Strange and Wong ordered a retreat. Strange made an incredible move and trapped her within the mirror dimension, but Wanda found out how to manipulate reflections to find a way out of the dimension. Only Strange and Wong were left, but they couldn't do much at all against her. Wanda even managed to damage the cloak of levitation with a blast. The only thing they could do was use America's powers to escape through the multiverse. While they were safe, Kamar-Taj was left completely in ruins, as one lone sorceress laid waste to a fortress full of Earth's masters of the mystic arts.